Good morning and welcome to this morning's episode of Amateur in the Morning. I am your host, the Forex Amateur. So today is the 20th of October. Wow, how the days are just flying. Every single day is just flying by. Hope you guys are making the most of each day. Each day is a blessing. So I hope you spend at least a couple hours a day. If you've got a full-time job, if you've got a business, if you've got whatever, I hope you spend a few hours a day at least chasing your dreams. Chasing your dreams, because I think it's very, very important for somebody to have that feeling of fulfillment in their lives, right? That keeps you going every single day. So that's just a little bit of a token from my side. All right. So it's a beautiful Tuesday morning. And as usual on these sessions, I'm just going to jump straight into the charts. I don't really like to keep these sessions very long, so I want to try and get it as short as possible. If I can get these sessions down to like 10 minutes or even less than 10 minutes, that would be great, right? So anyway, let's get straight into it. Before I do so, let me throw in my little disclaimer there. Remember, I'm not qualified to provide financial, trading, or even investment advice. Yes, that's right. I'm not qualified to do that, right? So remember that everything that I say on these sessions is purely just my opinion on these markets, and it is meant for educational purposes, right? So if you are taking any trades, remember you have to ensure that you do your own research, you do your own analysis, because forex or trading, I know we're not trading forex in this instance, but financial markets trading is very risky. And any trades that I take with cash that I am willing to risk. Remember, you could lose your entire investment, right? So let's get straight into it. Let's talk about volatility 10. Yesterday, I did speak about the zone. So we're on the daily chart on volatility 10. Yesterday, I did speak about the zone. And I mentioned that I want to see the candle close below the daily candle flows below here to give me confirmations that price wants to push lower. Now, what I do see is that we did get a hard rejection off of this level. And that is still not very convincing, because you can see there isn't really much volume in what's happening in terms of price pushing above this level. And we did see a hard rejection at the top of yesterday's candle, and today's candle is currently rejecting at the moment. So I am currently still looking for a retracement into around this level here. I've got this line in here as well, where I'm looking for like a really optimum entry at around this line for me to go long on here, and I will be targeting about those areas. So overall, I am still bullish currently on here. And like I did say yesterday, that this was simply just a retracement, and I wasn't going to participate in the sell unless price broke below this level. Let me just grab my annotator here so I can basically bring your attention to specific levels that I'm looking at, or specific points that I'm referring to, right? So I did mention that I wanted to see price break below this area here before I started to participate in these sells down to the downside, right? And as you can see, price hasn't really broken below that area. So I am still overall bullish on volatility 10. It's just a matter of me wanting to get, a bit of a lower entry, a retest entry around here for me to capitalize on that overall buy to the upside. But we do see that this is a very good indication that price is still quite bullish, right? But we do have this bit of a retracement. I would call it a retracement pattern, not really a reversal pattern, because we'll let price play out a little bit and then pull down into here, and that's where we're looking to go long. So it is looking very good for a depletion of bullish momentum, and as you can see, the entering of bearish momentum from that area in there. That's showing us that there is a high probability of us seeing a retracement. So let's drop down to the H4. When you see the H4, you can see that I do have this pattern here highlighted on here. Like I said, I don't really trade these patterns, but when they sort of work as a confluence with the rest of my strategy, it's hard for me to ignore, right? So looking at this area in here, we do see that price is currently rejecting very, very hard from around that level in there. Forming sort of a bit of a double top pattern, if you might call it that, right? Forming a bit of a double top pattern in here, right? So that's telling us that there is possibilities that we will see price dropping down. So I am still looking at a possible retracement from this area, rather than taking a continuation to the upside. So I am still looking at a retracement for an optimum entry for the buy, right? So I'm not really going to drop below that time frame, because at the moment right now, I'm just playing the waiting game with volatility 10. I'm not really participating. Let's look at volatility 75. Looking at 75, I did highlight this zone yesterday as the rejection zone. And I did mention that price could reject from this level and push lower, which is what I would love to see, so that I can participate in a buy from a lower time, from a lower point or lower price, a much more discounted price. But for now, we can see that price is pushing to the upside. And I will be looking to see how it reacts around this level. And if it does break above it, then I will then start looking for possible buy entries, or even I'll wait for, actually what I would actually wait for is to see what it does when it gets to around this area here, because I have a very good idea that it would most likely bounce from there and pull back down, right? Very, very, very sneaky idea that I have, that it would most likely do that. Let's drop down to the 4 hour and let's have a look at what's happening on here. Now, I was chatting to a buddy of mine last night, and he actually did point out this specific level in here and this trend line that was developing. I wasn't really looking at this, to be honest, and I must say, big shout out to him for calling out the buy that would happen at the trend line retest at this area here. So big shout out on that, bro. And I do see that, that is working out very, very well. So that is great. That's something that I wasn't really looking at. And you pointing that out to me as well has brought my attention to it. So that's really great. Thanks for that opportunity. Now, looking at the 4 hour in here, we do see that this is a possible level that we could see price coming into very, very soon, right? But in between this level in here, we might get a bit of a fib setup as well that you can look at, maybe from this impulse to around this area here. I generally like to put my fib at around that area in there. I'm not really going to draw it on this instance, to be honest. I want to stop bringing that into it, because I just want to look at price action on these sessions. Now, we do see that price is currently breaking previous highs, right? Forming higher lows. So that's showing us bullish market structure at the moment. So what we could see is price sort of do something like that, right? After creating this channel in here before it smashes back down, right? If that does happen, then I'll most likely be looking to take a sell from around here, or maybe even a bit higher up, but that's purely dependent on what happens going forward, right? So that is basically my outlook on VIX 75. I am looking to see how it reacts to the zone today, and that will most likely tell me what I want to do with this going forward for the next couple of days. Let's move over to volatility 50. Looking at volatility 50, I did call this zone yesterday, and I said that price will most likely respect this, and we'll see it trading back down into around this big zone in here for another trend line retest in here before we get price pushing back to the upside. So that is what I am looking at the moment. Not really much difference. If I do get opportunities, however, I will take those sells. But for now, there isn't really any clear reflection of sells, as well as I'm looking at the fact that price is currently, very, very extended. And we do see that the bearish leg is currently getting a bit smaller and smaller as price gets on, right? So the last thing I want to do is participate in a sell trade when the trend has already developed so much, right? So most likely what I would be looking to do is, if we can get a pullback into around here, then I will most likely take the sell back to the downside again. If we do not do that, then I would simply look to take the buy from much lower here on the H4 time frame, or on the daily time frame, if you would like to call it that, right? So as I did highlight yesterday, that there is this fib setup that we've got in here, right, from here to here, where I basically grab my fib, and we do see this as the retracement entry, and as you can see, that is basically playing out really, really well. On the third touchdown here, however, I am anticipating that we will most likely get price to retest in and around this area in here. Apologies for my annotations. It's a bit squiggly this morning. I'm not sure why. Right. So I am expecting to see price come back into around this level again over the next couple of weeks. Right. So that's basically my thoughts on volatility 50. I am going through this very quickly today, because I actually just want to run out for a few hours before I get back on the charts for the day. So this is also relatively early. I don't generally do these sessions so early in the morning. Let's look at volatility 25-1S, which is the newest addition to our outlook, or to our morning sessions, or to amateur in the morning. I should start calling it that, right? So looking at this, as I did say yesterday, that we are currently bearish into this trend line here to see what price does at around this area in here. And as you can see, that is playing out really, really well. And I basically keep trying to jump in front of this trade and trying to catch a retracement entry, and I'm ignoring the fact that my overall analysis is a sell. So note to self, maybe if I put this on YouTube, I might stick to it. Note to self, let's wait for the retracement to actually happen. and then we'll jump in on the retest, right? So as you can see that I did highlight this area in here for a possible retracement yesterday. I'm not sure if I did highlight it on the amateur in the morning session or if I highlighted it with the paid group guys, but basically that is a level that I was looking at for the possible retracement. As you can see, price is basically smashing through that level at the moment, to be quite honest. So what I am looking at is the fact that we have these huge wicks here at the bottom, right? So we have these big wicks here that most likely price is chasing to fill those wicks. So we will most likely see price break below here before it pulls back up. So chances are we will see that push down into the trend line before we see it pulling back, doing a nice deep retracement to continue to the downside. I have highlighted this channel as well on the daily time frame. Now, sorry, on the H1 time frame. And now what I've noticed on here is what we might see is we might see a young retracement today because we have these levels in here that will now be tested, right? So that is something that I am looking at for today is if we get a nice reaction of this bottom zone, because it is seeming like on the lower time frames it is reacting. But if I get a nice reaction of this zone, then I'll most likely participate in the buy around there and I'll be targeting back up into the zone in here. That will be my final take profit. Obviously, I will be looking at scaling in and taking profits as price does progress into around these levels in here, right? So that is basically my thoughts. This one I have dropped it down a bit lower. The reason for that is because the overall analysis on here is bearish, right? And I have been of the thinking that we'd most likely see price trade a bit higher, but I am noticing that it is struggling to do that at the moment. So we'll be looking to see how low can it go, to quote Ludacris, before we see whether we can take it back to the upside. So we'll most likely be chasing this trend line retest before we see a trade back into the upside. So that's it from my side. Not really much more that I can say about these charts. As usual, I like to get through this as fast as possible and throw in as much information as possible to make it as educational as possible as well. So if this is educational for you, just drop a comment as well. Just let me know what are your thoughts about these sessions. What do you feel like I should be doing differently on these sessions? What do you feel that is the most valuable part of these sessions for you? And perhaps we can make it a bit more, we can add a bit more value to this, or maybe just restructure it a little bit so that it's a bit more chewable or consumable or edible, if you want to call it, right? So cool. Anyway, let me get off. Let me get started with my day as well. So until next time, it's been a pleasure as always to share. And I am wishing you guys a blessed and a profitable trading day.